Hello children, welcome back, and today we will do with the last part of the Nelson Mandela chapter. And before I start, I want to say that two things I want to say. One is a happy thing, and the other one is a bit disappointing. The first thing is that I'm very happy and glad that you people have very spontaneously given the test and scored very well. That is a very good thing. It was not very easy, I would say. Few things were easy, which were related to the text, but figures of speech was not so easy, and you have come up with very good result. I'm very happy with that. Congratulations to all of you. But one more disappointing thing is that what happened that in our group, English group, there is a group of almost 124-25 children, and in that group I expect others also to include themselves so that it would be easier for many of you to interact. Now if someone puts up a doubt, I expect that others also should respond. It is not always my responsibility. Of course, it is my responsibility to finally wind it up and explain it. But others are also there who can take part. One raise a problem, other can sort it out. It's not always that somebody will raise a question and teacher will go on blah 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 blah, blah saying. So it is expected that you can also answer. Today some answers came up very nicely. 2-3 children, they answered very nicely. I expect everybody to participate because it's a interactive group. It should be, and then only I can get the feedback how you are, how much you have understood, what you feel about the chapter. Then only I can understand. Otherwise it is like one way communication. I am only explaining and you people are listening. So how can I understand? It should be both way traffic. I will also deliver something, you will also return me something. Then only I will also be very happy and feel enthusiastic and motivated to say something more to you. Hope next time it would be better, children. Now let us start. We will start with that page 21. In life, every man has twin obligations. Obligations to his family, to his parents, to his wife and children. And he has an obligation to his people, his community, his country. I am not referring the previous part of the chapter. Let me start from here only because time is less for us. So I am you go through the previous portion and do the recapitulation first, and then read this portion or listen to the video. Now every human being has two obligations. One is towards his family, towards his father, mother, husband, wife, spouse, children, etc. And the other obligation is towards the society. Everybody, even we also have. In a civil and humane society, each man is able to fulfill these obligations according to his own inclinations and abilities. Yes, I do it according to my own inclination. Inclination means how I want to serve the society. In which way I want to, in which field I am inclined to. I will serve the society in that way. And according to my abilities. How much I am able, I will do that much for the society. Every people is like that. If people, those who are of higher status to me, they do more to the society. I am a middle class family, so according to my ability, I try to help. Like now the whole country is in disaster, different types of disasters are coming up. So we are trying to help out. I cannot be Tata Birla like that. So they are helping the society with much more money. I don't have so much fund. Whatever I have, I am trying. So accordingly, we show our responsibilities towards the society. Along with our family, we show it towards our society. But in a country like South Africa, different from other countries, it was almost impossible for a man of my birth, that is of black birth, my birth and color to fulfill both of these obligations. He says that a person who is black, born in South Africa, of his time, of course, please try to understand that sorry, man of my birth and color to fulfill of those, man of his color cannot fulfill both the obligations. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as a human being was punished and isolated. If someone wants to live like a human being, free, like as we do, if they want to do, they would be taken away from their families and they would have to live a very, a life away from their family. They cannot live like that. They had to rather live like slaves. They cannot move away free. If free, they would be punished. So in South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as human being was punished and isolated from the family. In South Africa, a man who tried to fulfill his duty to his people and was inevitably ripped from his family and his home and was forced to live a life apart, a twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. Now, if someone wanted to help the duty to his people, that is towards his society, that is, if someone wanted to do anything good or any help towards the black people, if any black wanted to do anything for the other black people of his community, they would be also punished and they would have to live a life of twilight existence of secrecy. Twilight existence, you have done it at the beginning of the chapter, the meaning of the twilight existence. Twilight existence means at the time of twilight, as you know, that there is little light, little darkness. So now if someone wants to do the help to the people, then they would also have to live a life of twilight existence, that is somewhat in darkness, somewhat in light. That is, they cannot come out, they cannot express themselves in the light. They have to live a life of secrecy and of rebellion. Secrecy and the rebel or the revolt that would be created in his mind, with that he would have to spend the rest of the life if someone wanted to help the other black people of his community. That means you cannot do anything, you simply eat, then spend your life, do some work, earn money, help your family in your own way, but you do not expect freedom. You cannot go any step beyond that. Else, if you do, you will be punished and you will have to lead a life of secrecy. At the beginning, I did not in the beginning choose to place my people above my family. But in attempting to serve my people, I found that I was prevented from fulfilling my obligations as a son, a brother, a father, and a husband. Initially, I gave the priority to my family only. But when I understood, when I realized that my people are also in trouble and I started to help them, immediately I was stopped not only from serving to the people of my community, I was stopped from doing my duty towards my family also, as a son, as a father, as a husband, etc. So, but in attempting to serve my people, I found that I was prevented from fulfilling my obligations as a son, a brother, a father, and a husband. Now, he defines what is freedom, how the priority of freedom changes, how the definition of freedom changes according to the age. I was not born with hunger to be free. I was born free. Don't think, people, that I was born with the hunger of freedom. I was from the very beginning, right from my childhood, I was under shackles. It's not that. I was free. Actually, no child is born with shackles because he doesn't understand the meaning of not having freedom. He doesn't understand what is exactly freedom is. So he says that I was not born with the hunger to be free. No child does that. I was born free. Free means, at that time, his definition of freedom was free in every way that I could know. Free to run in the fields near my mother's hut, free to swim in the clear stream and that ran through my village, free to roast maize to roast the corn or the maize, to roast maize under the stars and ride the broad backs of slow moving bulls, enjoying the life throughout the day. And if that enjoyment, if that allowance he gets, he is free. That was the definition for the child. So, as long as I obeyed my father and abided by the customs of my tribe, I was not troubled by the laws of human or God. So, as long I maintained all these, that is, I maintained the laws imposed by my parents in my family and the laws imposed by the laws or the customs that are imposed by the society. Society means their black society, tribe. As long as you maintain that, you are free. Like children, as you are now. You are free now. Free to do many things. Your parents allow many things to do. But there is a point where they stop you. You know that. You are not allowed to be out in the evening for a long time. You have to do your studies. You are not allowed to move here and there without taking their permission. You are not allowed to do. You know that. And you have accepted that. Accepting those norms, you think you are free. Yes, you are free. Free to do many things. And the rest of the things, the laws that are imposed on you, you know that these are to be followed. And if you follow that, rest of the things you are free for doing. So that is your concept of freedom now. You are allowed to talk to your friends over phone. You are allowed to play games in your phone. You are allowed few things, few places to go, even if you don't take much permission, just only inform and go. So these are the allowances, basic allowances that you are given to enjoy your freedom. This is your definition of freedom now, because you have accepted the other other rules or laws of the family. He was also like that. So he was free. It was only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion. When he grew up, become young, then he realized that his childhood emotions, these were childhood conception of freedom was actually illusion. Why? Because when I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, that I began to hunger for it. Now I've understood that now I have become young. I can go now anywhere where I wish. This is my concept of freedom now. I want to do that. Many things that were not allowed in my childhood or my boyhood, now I have become young. I can do that. So the concept of freedom is changing, and slowly you are getting that. Parents are also slowly allowing you. So your ideas of freedom is changing now. Here also that I began to hunger for it. At first, as a student, I wanted freedom only for myself. Being a student, it was for myself only. I want freedom as you have now. The transitory freedoms of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased and go where I choose. Later, as a young man in Johannesburg, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedoms of achieving my potential. Now, when he grew up, when he reached to Johannesburg, then he realized that no, I need something more. Now, I have grown up. I have to earn. This is my freedom. I have to earn. I have to earn according to my potential. So now, his concept is telling, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedoms of achieving my potential, of earning my keep. As much according to my ability, I will earn. Of marrying. This is my freedom. I should do that. I can do that now. I am free to do that. And having a family. The freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life. If I follow the laws of the basic laws of the country, I will not be stopped from doing so. So the priority is changing, right? A boy playing in the field throughout the day, then the boy reading books and doing late nights, then the boy changing to aunt, and then the boy finally getting married to a girl and means establishing his family. The concept of freedom is changing from one to other as priority changes. So that is freedom, and nobody will obstruct it as long as I follow the laws or the rules of the society. But then I slowly saw that not only was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not free. Then slowly he realized that no, this is not freedom. And it's not only with him, it is with his members of his tribe also. Those who are black, they are also not free. Is freedom, is the definition of freedom restricted to my own life? That was a question for him. And then he found that no, freedom does not stop there. Freedom means something more. And when he tried to get that freedom, he was stopped. And he realized that no, that means what freedom he is having and he is thinking that he is having the freedom is actually an illusion. It is not the reality. It is not the truth. It is a fantasy. He is thinking that he is free, but actually he is not free in the real sense. And so are the other members of his tribe. I saw that it was not just my freedom that was curtailed, but the freedom of everyone who looked like I did. Looked like I, means like me, that is all blacks. The freedoms were curtailed. That is when I joined the African National Congress, and he realized that if this freedom is to be earned, that cannot be earned alone, and that needs a platform from where the fight should begin. And then he joined to African National Congress, ANC. And that is when the hunger for my freedom became the greater hunger for the freedom of my people. And slowly I realized that my freedom for my hunger is less. Freedom for the hunger of the people of my society, of my clan, of my tribe is much more important to me. I feel more hungry to achieve that than to earn my own freedom. It was this desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect, which was not at all there at that time. Not at all. They were not at all accepted to be human beings. They were treated like slaves, like animals. So the dignity and self-respect that animated my life, animated means that put life into my life, that transformed a frightened young man into a bold one. Earlier I was frightened. I did not have the courage to retaliate. I did not have the courage to fight, to revolt. So that frightened young man now changed into a bold one. That drove a law-abiding attorney to become a criminal. Very interesting line, I must say. Law-abiding attorney. He was an attorney. Who is an attorney? He is a man of law. So he must be, it is expected that he would be the most law-abiding man. And he was like that. He was also a law-abiding attorney. But he now turned to be a criminal. Criminal in the eyes of the whites. So the law-abiding man, who was very quiet, peaceful, happy with his own condition, if he was like that, nothing would happen. He would be happy. He would think that he is successful. He has his freedom. He would continue his career in law profession, and he would, according to him, he would be a successful man. But when he realized that no, this is not the freedom, then the whole concept changed. And this law-abiding man turned to be a criminal. That is, the whites then realized that this man is actually a criminal who is to be thrown into the prison, who is to be thrown behind the bars. So the young man into a bold one that drove a law-abiding attorney to become a criminal, that turned a family-loving husband into a man without a home, that forced a life-loving man to live like a monk, sacrificing everything, all the pleasures of life, all the luxuries of life he had to sacrifice, and he had to live his life in the prison for 30 years, so it's not a small thing. So that forced a life-loving man to live like a monk. So when he realized this, when the realization came of the freedom for his people, then this law-abiding man, this peaceful man turned into a bold one, turned into a criminal. That family-loving man turned into a man without home, forced the life-loving man into to be a man, to live like a life of a monk. I am no more virtuous or self-sacrificing than the next man, but I found that I could not even enjoy the poor and limited freedoms I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. So I am no more virtuous or self-sacrificing than the next man. I am no more virtuous, so now I am not virtuous man. I am not self-sacrificing man than the next man. But I found that I could not even enjoy the poor limited freedoms. But when I realized that the poor limited freedoms, when I did not enjoy, then I was allowed freedoms I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. When I realized that my people were not free, then I realized that even I am also not free. Otherwise, I am also not all self-sacrificing, etc. But when I realized that they are not free, then suddenly I realized even I am also not free. If they cannot do so many things, same way I also cannot do many things. I also cannot enjoy many things of the society. That freedom is indivisible. The chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. I realized that the chain on them is actually chain on me, is actually chain on all of us. So freedom is not indivisible. It cannot be divided. It is together. Freedom, if you have, all are free. If you do not have freedom, nobody is free. Alone I am free, being a black, impossible. So I realized that the chain was on them. Then I realized that the chain is on me. Then I realized the chain is on all of us. So we all are tied with the same chain. So freedom is if to be gained, all have to fight together to break the chain. Then only the freedom can be achieved. Singly or individually, freedom cannot be achieved. It is not freedom. So freedom is indivisible. The chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. The chains on all of my people were the chains on me. I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. One is doing the oppression, other is on whom the oppression is being done. Both are to be liberated. Isn't it very funny to hear that who is oppressed, he is to be liberated? It is very true for always. But who is oppressor, he is also to be liberated. How can that be? He is oppressing in his own way, in his own wish. Then also he is to be liberated. Where is it tied that he is to be liberated? A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. Now the answer is this, that a man who takes away the freedom of another man, whose freedom is being taken, he is to be freed, definitely. The man who is taking away the freedom, he is also to be freed from prison of hatred. Actually, he can't understand, or he can't see that the bars of hatred are entangling him. He is behind the bars of hatred. So he is also not liberated. If the oppressed is not liberated, the oppressor is also not liberated, because he is bound by the shackles of hatred. Hatred of the people whom he is oppressing. So he is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. He is very narrow-minded. Being a human being, you are curbing the liberty of other human beings. Who are you to do that? So this is an inhuman thing. This is your narrow-mindedness. So you are bound with your own bars. You are bound with your own narrow-mindedness. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom. I am not free. Free from the hatred, free from the narrow-mindedness. That is also very important. That is also very needed. Mind is to be freed, but mind is not free here. His mind is also tied with the shackles of all these prejudices. So I am not free, truly free, if I am taking away someone else's freedom. Just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken from me. So both are not free. If I am oppressed, I am not free. If you are oppressing me, you are also not free. The oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. Both are robbed of their humanity. Who is being oppressed, all the humanity has been taken away from him. He is not allowed to fulfill his humanity. And who is oppressing, he himself is taking away his own humanity, his own good senses, his own conscience. So both are tied, both are to be freed. So that is why the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. Both are to be freed at the same time. Now can you follow? Understand the chapter? A bit difficult. Try to understand it, read it repeatedly. Very soon I will take another test on this chapter also. It is a very important chapter. Now please take your pencils and let me tell you few lines to be underlined, because those lines may come as a reference to context, or those are the highlighted points of the chapter. Questions also may come from there. Let me start with page 17, first paragraph. Largest gathering ever, international leaders of South African soil. Very simply I am showing this line. This is the line. This line, largest gathering. Why largest gathering ever, international leaders of South African soil? Why, when it happened? Reference to this line, questions may come. Then rainbow gathering, next paragraph, rainbow gathering of different colors. It is also very important. So this is to be also under the, what is the meaning of rainbow gathering? Why rainbow gathering? Because different colors, people of different colors came there. Now go to next page, page number 19. Page 19, first paragraph, you see first, second, third, fourth line. It was not only display of pinpoint precision, but military force, and but a demonstration of military's loyalty to democracy, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. Why not only pinpoint precision? Why? What is military? How did they show the military loyalty? Why did they show? To whom did they show? These are the questions that might come. Then come to the next paragraph. In the middle of the page, you can see the day was symbolized. The first line of the second paragraph, next paragraph. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems. Very obvious question, why the two national anthems, who sang, why sang, etc. Next comes next paragraph, that Anglo-Boer War, actually not the about the war, but the white-skinned peoples of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark-skinned peoples of their own land. How it was established. That is. Now next come page 20. Leave the first paragraph, second paragraph, first, second, third, fourth, fifth line, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots. I hope this you have understood this line. I was pained that I was not able to thank them. That was the next line to be underlined. Next paragraph immediately. The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. Obvious question, what is apartheid, why the wound was so deep, how it was abolished, etc. etc. Then comes page 21. Second line, first paragraph. Perhaps it required such depths of operation to create such heights of character. That whole portion till the purest diamonds. Two separate references are there. One is perhaps it required such depths of operation to create such heights of character. One is this, that how, why, explain the line. And the next line is, my country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil. What does that mean? Next comes next paragraph. I have seen men and women risk and give their lives for an idea. What is the idea? How did they give their lives? Why did they give their lives? How men and women can give their lives for a single idea? In the same paragraph, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. That line. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Next paragraph. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love, for love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. Explain. Next is last paragraph. Every man has twin obligation. Very obvious question. Why twin obligations? What are the twin obligations? How did he try to fulfill it? Like that. Then come to page 23. That first paragraph, that transformed a frightened young man into a bold one, that drove a law-abiding attorney to become a criminal. How the law-abiding attorney could be a criminal? How can a law-abiding be a criminal? Meaning, according to why he, the same man, turned to be a criminal. Then finally, last paragraph, first line, I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. How can the oppressor and oppressed both to be liberated? Okay, so now all the best. Read the chapter very nicely. It is, according to me, the most important chapter for half yearly. So give much stress, and it I claim that it's not so easy to read it very to learn it very easily. You have to repeatedly read it and have to learn the chapter. Okay children, I am not suggesting any question now. Next day I will give you the assignment, but for now you read the chapter nicely. Okay, thank you.